6:30 p.m. We ready to get started, Steve?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'd like to welcome everyone who's watching this telecast. I hope you're all well. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we will be conducting the meeting, obviously, this meeting remotely. As a result of the governor's emergency declaration and his temporary adjustment to the Brown Act, we're able to continue with the city business while also protecting the health and safety of our residents. Consistent with this direction, we've asked that all public comments be submitted in advance of the meeting. As we said, as we get to each item, our city manager will identify all public comments that have been submitted. The meeting is being streamed on our website and on Phillip TV as done normally. For those interested, it will be a rerun on Phillip TV and our website afterwards that are regularly done. Hopefully, we will soon be meeting in person again, based on the news that's recently come out with the vaccine hitting the streets here pretty soon. So, and we'll get an update of that tonight. But until then, we're meeting via Zoom. I hereby call the meeting to order. Steve, will you call the roll, please?
Councilman Collicott?
Here.
Councilman Rossini?
Here.
Councilman Zimmerman?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Miles?
Here.
Mayor Pitts?
Here.
All present.
Today, I'd like to, if he doesn't mind, ask Councilman Rossini if he'd lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of
of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. So now we'll have our presentation. Steve?
We thank you, Mayor. We have
I think we did the oath of office this week virtually or something.
we did a little different. You're right, Mayor. We did a little different because of the COVID and the group meetings, et cetera. We had the luxury and the option, and I appreciate the willingness of the two of you to come in. So both yourself, Mayor Pitts, and Councilman Rossini swore in. So we had the ability to take a video of that, which we would like to show. And we did that in the council chambers this past Friday. Right after that, the third item, we did a presentation, and we're going to go ahead. That's going to be run just back to back to back. They'll run. We did a presentation for the Orange County Sheriff Deputy of the Year for Villa Park, and we'll do that presentation. Will be running real simultaneously. So we tried this to make sure it works this afternoon. We're going to hopefully all three will run real simultaneously, and we'll be good, and then or successively, and then we'll go into the Sheriff's Department.
Okay, before we start, can I say one thing?
Sure.
I'd like to congratulate Councilman Rossini. Vince, it's been a pleasure serving with you for 4 years. Look forward to 4 more years together on the council. Appreciate all that you've done for the city. Appreciate all that you've done for us in the council, and look forward to 4 more years with you, buddy.
Likewise, I couldn't say it better, my friend. I appreciate it. Same thoughts are going back your direction. I certainly appreciate your leadership, your wisdom, your counsel, and I really do look forward to the next 4 years. So thank you, and congrats.
So
Let her roll.
Alyssa, here we go. Drum roll, make sure it works.
And we both messed up, by the way, for everybody's edification.
You good, Alyssa? There we go.
There we go. Good job, Alyssa.
That's the wrong one first, Alyssa. There.
I, Robert Pitts,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States,
that I will bear true
faith
faith
and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California.
that I take this obligation freely
I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
I will, say it again.
That I will well and faithfully discharge
I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
the duties in which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Vincent Rossini,
I, Vincent Rossini,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and that I take this obligation freely
and that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well
and that I will well
and faithfully discharge
and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
the duties can you say it again, sorry,
The duties upon which I am about to enter.
the duties upon I'm about to enter.
All right, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nice.
We recognize you as the Villa Park Deputy of the Year in the first annual one. And the service you give to our community is absolutely amazing. And we really appreciate all you do for us. Mind if I take this off?
I don't mind.
You tirelessly give to this community all the time. As school resource officer, you are involved in the Villa Park Sanitation, the boat parade, and so many other community things that go on. And we really appreciate all you do to keep us safe and comfortable here in Villa Park.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Want to say anything?
Well, I'm very proud of this, and I'd like to dedicate it to my dad, who passed away in July this year. And I'd like to thank my family, my partners, my bosses, and all the community members that are nothing but supportive and generous to myself and all the rest of the Sheriff's Department.
Well, we really do appreciate all you do for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I'll say, just on behalf of the Sheriff's Department, we've been patrolling the city since its incorporation in 1961, and for some reason, most of our contract cities do a deputy year presentation and select a deputy, and for whatever reason, Villa Park has never done that. So I'm proud to be able to do this for the first time for the city of Villa Park, and I couldn't think of anyone better to receive this award than Deputy Benzie. He truly is an integral part of the community. He's been an SRO since 2016, and just his approachability and his ability to work with everyone else and his just real connection with the community has made him an outstanding deputy over here. It definitely takes a little different skill set and outlook to work in Villa Park. It's a little different, it's a little homier, smaller city than a lot of our other areas, and it definitely takes a unique person to really excel over here, and Brian has done that. So I want to present you with our first ever Deputy Year plaque for Villa Park Police Services.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations to him. He has tirelessly given, support to this community for a long, long time. And Brian, we think the world of you and appreciate all you do for this community.
I've had the pleasure of working with Brian Benzie on a couple of committees and in the community. He is really a fantastic person and a solid member of our community that helps in so many different ways. It's such a pleasure, and it's so fantastic that we gave him that award this year.
Yep. Okay, Steve, I think we're done with the presentations, right?
But now we're just going to the regular monthly.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, now we'll hear from Lieutenant Newsom about our sheriff's report.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me here again. And just to touch back on Deputy Benzie, I wish I could get a couple dozen more of him. He's truly well-rounded and just does a fantastic job over there. So I'm glad we're able to do that for him. So this report for December does contain a couple entries for the end of November, but in total, since our last meeting, we've had 336 calls for service in the city of Villa Park. A few kind of noteworthy incidents on November 26th, the 18,000 block of Mesa Drive. Heard we had an attempted residential burglary where someone tried to enter a second story rear window by leaning a ladder up against the house and attempting to climb in. They weren't able to make entry, but those are definitely things that as residents, we need you to look out for, that type of suspicious behavior, because that is a pretty common type of residential burglary trend that we're seeing in the Orange County area right now. On the 2nd, we had on the 10,000 block of Prado Woods Drive, some tools stolen from a truck bed. And then on the 14th and the 17,000 block of Santiago, some miscellaneous personal items were stolen from an unlocked vehicle. And then on November 25th, and the 17,000 block of Bishop, a lawnmower was taken from the street, very expensive lawnmower, over $1,000. So should actually be labeled as a grand theft, but a little typo there on my part. Sorry about that. So these are, again, are just crimes of opportunity. We want people to be, super cognizant of their property, make sure it's secure, and make sure they're keeping an eye on things and not allowing themselves to be victimized. We had in our traffic arena, we issued 8 traffic citations and 3 parking citations, and we did have 2 traffic collisions on December 10th. The 1700 block of Santiago Boulevard, a injury collision involving a motorcycle rider and collided with another vehicle. And then at Center and Taft on the 13th, there was a 2-vehicle traffic collision. Someone failed to stop for the stop sign. So we want people to be paying extra attention when they're driving. And I want to talk a little bit about some safety, good safety habits to be in this time of year. So obviously Cyber Monday's passed, but we wanted just people to be aware when they're cyber shopping to use some good safety measures. Stick to websites and companies that you're familiar with. Be savvy and aware that there are lots of schemes out there right now. Companies pretending to be things that they are not. So if you're unsure, then check it out either through the Better Business Bureau or the Federal Trade Commission. Make sure whatever site you're shopping on offers some type of secure checkout type of system where you get a password or some type of secondary verification, and ensure some type of safe delivery. So if you're not home, alert your neighbors that you're getting a package delivered, or maybe have it sent to someone else's house. Utilize the tracking feature on the delivery services to coordinate someone being at your house to receive that package. And again, the holiday season, a lot of crimes of opportunity. So after Christmas, we want to make sure that when we throw away our trash, that if we have received some high dollar electronics or appliances, that we're breaking down those boxes all the way, so we're not advertising when we put our trash out on the street that we have all new appliances or electronics that people can then decide to break into your house and take. Try to keep your Christmas tree and any large or what appear to be expensive gifts not visible from the outside through the window. Just do some things to secure your residence to make sure that your Christmas spirit isn't ruined by thieves this year. So please be aware and please be alert. And that ends my report. Any questions?
Any questions, Council? Comments? Okay.
Actually, real quick question. The Neighborhood Watch that we have, the Sizels do a great job with that. They have put out a couple of alerts. Are those, they send out a police blotter or a review of that's the same report that you're giving now, right? Or are you aware of that?
Yeah, so the blotter basically is just all calls that come in, and what I do is kind of parse through that and look for some noteworthy events. And sometimes you get multiple calls for one incident, so we try to kind of reconcile that to make it as a little more accurate than probably the blotter is.
Right. I really appreciate your report. I guess what I was trying to highlight is if our residents are interested in getting that in a physical form like that, our Neighborhood Watch does a good job of putting that out. And then also talking about some of the scams that you mentioned. They highlighted a couple of people who are trying to impersonate Apple or Microsoft employees, some stuff that are out there. So that's something that our residents can also sign up for and get.
Yeah, I would definitely advise anyone to be very wary of any company or organization who calls them, unsolicited. And that's kind of something that's been the test of time. If they're calling you, asking you about things financially or to, make purchases, or the big thing right now seems to be the extended warranty on your vehicle call. I think I've gotten probably about 50 of those myself. That's a scam. They're basically searching for information. They're phishing, what it's called, for your personal information, so they can do some type of identity theft. So if you're not the one soliciting the business service, be really careful of giving up any information.
Thanks again so much for your report, and Merry Christmas.
You're welcome. Merry Christmas.
I have a question real quick, if possible. Have you noticed in our community reports of anyone, maybe they get somebody showing up at their door, very trustworthy looking people that say, and it would usually be an elderly person's residence, that they would show up at saying that, oh, it's time to change your filter, or we got a phone call that your motor on your whatever is burnt out. Have you heard any of that for this area?
I haven't heard any of that in recently, but that is a pretty common scam. A lot of times it's a type of distraction theft.
Yeah.
And one person will go to the door, and they do, unfortunately, usually prey on our older community members, and they'll, represent themselves to be from a utility service. And yeah, we need to change your filter. We need to check your electrical panel, and they distract the homeowner, and then their counterpart comes in and does some type of theft from the residents. So yeah, again, if you're not soliciting the service, and if someone calls and says we're from the whatever utility company and you didn't request them, I'd recommend tell them to hold on, close the door, and call whoever it is they're representing to be and say, do you have technicians or representatives out in our area, and verify it.
Yeah, thank you.
I'd like to remind everybody we have a no solicit ordinance in Villa Park, and it's posted at all the city entrances to the city. And if you go down to City Hall and register, join the registry, anybody who solicits in the city must have a permit issued by City Hall. And part of the requirement is that they may not solicit to those who are on the registry to not solicit. If you are on the registry and somebody does come to solicit, let them know that that's a violation of our city ordinance, and you'd be pleased to call the sheriff unless they wish to leave. So it's a good ordinance that helps us keep our crime down.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you, Lieutenant. Appreciate it.
Welcome. Happy holidays.
You're up. You too, buddy. Chief Hunter, you're up. Fire Authority.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Thanks for having me tonight. Since our last City Council meeting on November 17th, there's been 55 calls in the city of Villa Park. The calls of significance is we had a dumpster fire. We also had a vegetation fire. It was categorized that way, but it did involve a very small bush. As far as our safety message this month, don't let preventable fire take away from the joy of the holidays. Protect your family this winter, and here's some safety tips. Use battery-operated candles whenever possible. Always use candles at least 12 inches away from anything, and always secure your candles and keep them out of the reach of children. Extinguish the candles before leaving a room. Inspect all your lights and decorations on your Christmas tree. Never overload your circuits as well as your extension cords, and make sure you keep your tree watered. Practicing these safety tips will help keep us safe during the holidays, as well as your family, and you won't have a fire engine parked in front of your home. For more information, you can find it on ocfa.org, as well as our Facebook and our Twitter accounts. That's all I have. End of report.
Thank you, sir. Happy holidays to you and your family and to the entire organization.
Same to you and the whole entire city council and the wonderful community of Villa Park. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank
Happy
you.
holidays.
Any questions or comments from the council?
If you could, I would like you to just kind of give a brief update on our two firefighters and the recovery. You know, you've been very kind, as well as Chief Fennessy, in updating me, but perhaps better coming from you. I think you probably have the latest and greatest information on the recovery and where they're at and what they might need moving forward.
Sure. So the two firefighters are making really good progress. One is scheduled to be discharged from the hospital. He's actually in a rehab hospital right now, but scheduled to be discharged hopefully on Friday. And he does have a long road to recovery with therapy, as well as physical therapy. But he's doing very, very, very well. In fact, his family is hovering over him, as they should be, and he asked them, "Hey, give me some time." He's getting there. So hopefully, without any complications, he'll be discharged on Friday. The other firefighter is still in the hospital. He still has some more surgeries ahead of him, but he's making very good progress. His family has advised us, as well as his physicians, that they actually have a plan for him. And his last surgery, I shouldn't say his very last surgery, but his last surgery is at the end of this year in December. And then he's going to start his road to recovery with physical therapy. Both of the families are being very well supported by the OCFA, as well as our OCFA Fire family, as well as our Benevolent Association and the local 3631, to make sure that the family's needs are definitely being taken care of. So that's the update on those firefighters. So really good news this holiday season for them, and they're making really, really good progress.
Wish them our best.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers to them and the entire organization, and of course their families as well as others. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you, Chief, and happy holidays to you and your family.
Same to everybody.
Shawna, Villa Park Library. Welcome.
Hello, good evening, everyone. The library is still open, and we're enjoying helping our patrons that come to visit. We have a small browsing collection that patrons can pick from, and when they come in the library, they use the self-check machine, so we assist them with that. And then for our patrons that aren't as comfortable with coming inside, we're still doing curbside service. So they call us and we check out their items and we bring it out to them. We're also doing computer reservations. And not much has changed for us with the latest mandate. Our occupancy is down a little bit, and also our computer, we can't have as many people on the computer at once, but otherwise not much changed for us. Something exciting that the county's doing now, the library is circulating hotspots. So if you're not familiar with what a hotspot is, it's a wireless device that provides internet access to mobile devices like your laptop or your phone. And those check out for 3 weeks. Patrons can put those on hold just like they would any other item. And they're really popular. So right now you do need to put them on hold, but it's kind of an exciting way that the library is trying to help bridge the digital divide by providing internet access. Seasons readings, the county's winter reading program is going strong. It's going through January the 9th. Patrons of all ages can visit our website and get registered. They do a big variety of reading challenges, and they win digital badges, and they get registered to win a gift card at the end, an opportunity drawing for that. Our book group is meeting on December 30th at 2 o'clock through Zoom, and I apologize. I talked with our librarian about the topic and didn't write it down. So you can join us and be surprised, or give us a call and we'll tell you what the topic is for this month. And some more exciting news, I'll be starting a poetry group next month through Zoom. So it's really more of a discussion group. We have a lot of poetry fans in Villa Park. I'm hoping that they give us a call and get signed up for that. We'll be able to talk about poetry and poets. It's more of a discussion group than a writers group, but there'll be an opportunity at the end of the meeting to share poetry that we've written, or the results of a writing prompt we'll be sharing each month. And that will be, our first meeting is on the 28th of January. It's going to be on the fourth Thursday of the month from 5:30 to 7 every month. And if you're interested in either of those things, the book group or the poetry group, give us a call at the library. We'll get you set up on Zoom so that you can attend that with us. Any questions for me?
Questions, council?
I love the hotspot. Checking out the hotspot. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's a great start, and it's obviously much appreciated right now.
I bet.
Lots of great information, Shawna. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy
And
holidays.
your tree looks pretty, and good luck with the new.
Thank you.
Okay.
I appreciate that. I'm glad
Okay.
somebody had to take him out of the room, my new puppy, so he'd be quiet.
Happy
Have a good night.
holidays
Thank
to
you.
you. Okay, council member meeting attendance reports. Start off with Mayor Pro Tem with the Orange County Mosquito and Vector Control.
Thank you. We have a meeting on Thursday, actually, for December, but this report is for last month, November. Not a lot to report. Fortunately, the mosquito season is coming to a close, which is good, although I did sacrifice one last night. It was quite aggressive. But nonetheless, not a lot to report. Dr. Bob Cummings, who is the director for the lab, he notified us of his retirement. And Dr. Cummings, or Dr. Bob, as everyone likes to call him, was there when I was an intern as a grad student many, many, many years ago. So, I'm wishing him the best and success. And Amber Simrau, who has been there since 2004, she is going to be his successor. So they're very excited, and I've met her, and she's very capable, and I'm really wishing her luck. And the other thing, Orange County Mosquito and Vector Control budgeted some money to give a facelift to the Science Discovery Center, the Cube. They have an exhibit there that works with 80s, and let's see if I can do this justice. The exhibit elements to address 80s mosquito breeding behavior, mosquito biting and prevention, and the ability to change messaging within the exhibit as needed to address emerging and new vector control related issues. So it was budgeted for $50,000. They had to add another $27,000 so they could modify it because of the no touch or the minimal touch and barriers and whatnot. And they are currently updating that exhibit now. Hopefully we're going to get a chance to go look at it. Should be done in April. And then hopefully whenever the Cube is able to open up and get, visitors back in, that exhibit will be up and running. And it's supposedly supposed to be a very fantastic, interactive, no-touch exhibit to help educate our young students. So, and that's it.
Cool. Any questions? Comments? Okay. Thank you. Councilman Collicott, Orange County Sanitation District.
Thank you. On December 2nd, I chaired the Sanitation District Operations Committee meeting. And at this meeting, we approved a number of routine operations and maintenance agenda items. But more importantly, we recommended approval of the Facilities Master Plan EIR. This covers the capital improvement projects over the next 20 years. And also approved the 2020 Asset Management Plan. And this addresses capital maintenance and replacement of capital assets, including operational strategies and maintenance plans. So these are two major planning documents that will guide our efforts going forward over the next couple of decades. Our next meeting, and these two items will come to the board meeting tomorrow evening. So that's all I have to report.
Okay, questions, council? Okay, thank you. Councilman Rossini, Orange County Fire Authority.
Good evening, Mayor. Thank you. On November 19th, I attended, of course, by Zoom, the Orange County Fire Authority Board of Directors regular meeting. And amongst items on the agenda were reports from the Budget and Finance Committee, the Human Resources Committee, a report from the Fire Chief, and that dealt with a wrap of the Silverado and Blue Ridge Fires, I should say. Obviously, since then, we've had another fire, unfortunately, and as well as an update on the FA toy. The Fire Authority itself was also presented 3 different awards, one involving accounting, another one involving purchasing, and then a third one that it's escaping my mind right now. But nonetheless, they're doing some excellent work, and some individual staff members were recognized for their incredible dedication and setting themselves apart, as well as the authority, amongst others. On the consent calendar, the regular meeting minutes for the October 22nd meeting were approved, and the 2021 board meeting schedule was also approved. An audit of the financials was done. Fire Authority is doing well, but obviously we're in a pandemic and the state is struggling to a certain degree. There were also other matters discussed, including an award of public works contracts, the Homeland Security Grant Program for 2019, and UOSC Security Initiative Grant Program. Of specific note, though, I would want to point out that during the discussion, we covered the 2020-2021 fiscal update and snowball pension paydown plan. If there was going to be an issue financially for the authority moving forward of significance, we would see it with this. And I'm very blessed and I feel very fortunate to be able to report to our taxpayers and to this council that the Fire Authority has done an excellent job in stewarding the money that they've been provided by the taxpayers, and that they are going to be continuing the aggressive pay down on pensions moving forward. Obviously, it's something that we have to all keep a very, very close eye on. Otherwise, we could be upside down like some cities are, and in this particular case, the Fire Authority. But the Fire Authority is doing great, and they're continuing with the snowball pension pay down plan. And that's all I have to report. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And listen, please extend our gratitude to the entire fire department for all their help and support during this most recent fire. We really appreciate that. You know, when you see smoke come up like you do, and you know, everybody gets very anxious and very nervous and scared. And just knowing that they're there to take care of us and to look out for us and fight those fires is truly amazing, and we really appreciate it. So please extend our gratitude to them, please.
Will do. Thank you.
Okay. Orange County Library Advisory Board, Councilman Zimmerman.
No meeting on the Library Advisory Board.
Okay, and also back to you, City Schools Advisory.
Also no meeting on city schools.
Okay. Law Enforcement Advisory, Councilman Rossini.
No meeting.
Okay. Villa Park Community Services Foundation, we did have a meeting on November the 18th, which I attended via Zoom. We welcomed in the 2 new members, Jordan Wu and Robert Frankleton, and excited that both of them are now part of the foundation, and look forward to great things from them and from their support. I don't know about you guys, but I had an amazing time on a Santa tour recently that the foundation sponsored, and the city, along with the city, and it just was so fun to see so many smiles on children's faces. And you know, want to shout out to the Fasinelli family for allowing us to use that Jeep to send Santa around the city since we lost the fire department. Really appreciate that. But hope all of you had as much fun as I did, and I know it's a tough time for all of us during this COVID situation, but I think we did a really good job of making the best of it, allowing people to have personal choice and really enjoy the event. So thank you all for your support, participation, and I know the foundation appreciates it as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Housing Legislative Committee, I think we're going to see a report tonight. Steve, is that correct? Yes. Okay. And then Bridges at Kramer Place Advisory.
That's me. There was no meeting. In fact, our meeting is tomorrow, but I did want to give a shout out to, I just found out my niece and her husband, Amber and David Ross, and their children, my two great nieces, Sophia and Zoe Ross, are listening and probably should be in bed, but I just wanted to say hello to them and remember Santa's watching.
Well, I want to know if you're going to distribute latkes tonight for everybody.
I made them. They're delicious.
And applesauce?
Yes, or sour cream. You can do both.
Okay.
I had both.
Either one. Okay. Appreciate it. Anything else from the council?
Nope.
Okay, at this time, we'll review comments from the members of the public to address any off-agenda items within the subject matter jurisdictions of the council. Provided no action may be taken on off-agenda items unless authorized by law. We will be reviewing public comments on each agenda item as they come up. Steve, is there anyone that wrote in from the public and want to comment on any item?
Yes, sir. There was one comment. We did receive a couple that they'll be addressed later with the agenda items. Excuse me, but we did receive one comment from Robert Frackleton, excuse me, who indicates, Steve, my public comments for the 12/15 meeting, I fear it is impossible to ever satisfy the state's housing elements requirements. Thus, I question whether it is even worth trying. What is consequence of not submitting? Secondly, I strongly support the passing of Resolution 2020-3499 expressing support for actions to further strengthen local democracy, authority, and controls related to local zoning and housing issues. I urge all council members to vote in the affirmative. Thanks, Robert. As a follow-up, Mr. Frackleton and I spoke, and he asked about the consequences of the housing element not being submitted, and he and I had that conversation. So just as a FYI, that's the only comment we received.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Next, we'll get into the municipal election matters. But before we go on, I wanted to offer some comments regarding this past year and to hopefully set the stage for 2021. I believe we all know that 2020 was a very difficult year for all of us because of COVID. I know that no one could anticipate everything that would happen or take place. Also, things evolve constantly, which caused much anxiety for us, whether it was how we were as community leaders balancing personal choice, health of the businesses, community safety during all the unrest at the start of the pandemic, and most importantly, how to balance mental health and safety in our community. I personally do not know of any other city that did as good a job as our city and this council this year. It was really cool to see other cities in the county take our lead and advice related to grant solutions for businesses. It was extremely fulfilling and heartwarming to deliver monies to our businesses, and I'm sure that were smiles associated with our meal delivery program as well as our Rotary group to help facilitate that. It's hard on all of us, and I think we all do a great job supporting our businesses with grant programs and vulnerable with meal programs, support and partnership with our community services foundation to create as safe as possible events to help make sure our overall community mental health is enhanced despite the pandemic. I'm proud to have served with this council and the city staff during this time. I believe we made a positive impact on the community despite all the negative forces that were working against us. I'm also proud to have served as mayor during this time. I'm disheartened that as mayor, we could not do as many things as we wanted to during this past year that we as a council enjoy that enhances our efforts to govern. The pandemic took away our networking and our learning events and solutions that we all look forward to help us grow. I know that I personally spent 4 to 5 times the amount of time working through the pandemic with many meetings with the county, state, and federal groups just on this pandemic alone. And I know that it will continue well into 2021. The level of effort and support will probably be would be more based upon the numbers that we're seeing today. The unfortunate thing for us in this effort will potentially continue for new leadership and take away from our learning and developing the position, which is very, very unfortunate. And as we prepare to make our decisions about mayor and mayor pro tem, I would like to suggest that we consider freezing our current positions along with our committee efforts for 2021 to continue with the continuity and also not take away from the opportunity to take part in the normal development and networking that can take place during a normal non-COVID environment. While this has been a taxing year, I'm honored and grateful that I could serve as your mayor and hope to continue to serve you in the city for some time to come. Steve, I'll now turn it over to you to facilitate our mayor for 2021 and would like the council to consider position freezes for 2021. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Item number 1 is the election of mayor and mayor pro tem. With that, I'll briefly outline the process we'll use, and then we'll go forward for that. There will be time for discussion prior to any vote. First, we'll use the historical procedures that they'll be followed for the election of mayor and mayor pro tem. Starting with right now, which I will do, the city clerk will declare the offices of mayor and mayor pro tem vacant and open the meeting for public comment on the item. We have received, the positions are vacant. We have not received any public comment. The city clerk will state the nominations are now open for the mayor. The members need not be recognized to make a nomination and may nominate any of the sitting council members, including themselves. There is no second required, but sometimes one or more members will need a second, would like a second to indicate endorsement. When it appears that no one else wishes to make a nomination, the city clerk, myself, will ask if there's any further nominations, and if there's no response, we'll declare the nominations closed and ask for any comments from the council members prior to voting. After nominations have closed and all comments made, voting will take place. We'll take votes by roll call. If more than one nominee is asked for, will be voted on the order in which they were nominated. And this is either an aye or a no as we get to you. As soon as one of the nominees will receive a majority vote, he or she will be declared elected and no votes will be taken on the remaining nominees. Once the mayor has been elected, that mayor will take the floor and conducts the election of the mayor pro tem in the same manner as we did for the mayor. And then after those nominations are closed, the city clerk will conduct the voting. So with that, again, I will declare the offices of mayor and mayor pro tem vacant and open the meeting for public comment. We've received none. So we'll move forward and state that I will now receive nominations.
Steve, Councilman Rossini here. I would like to acknowledge the tremendous achievements and excellent work by Mayor Pitts. And I look forward to his future involvement and serving with him for 4 years. But keeping with tradition of rotating the position and giving Mayor Pro Tem Miles the opportunity to become mayor, I would like to formally nominate her to the position of mayor. I think that she's proven herself both as a councilwoman, as a community volunteer, and most recently as a mayor pro tem. And it gives me a tremendous amount of joy, and it's a great honor for us to have her serving as a mayor pro tem, and I'd like to give her that opportunity as mayor.
I second that nomination, and also nominate Chad Zimmerman as mayor pro tem.
Well, I appreciate that. Are we not going to do a conversation, or are we not having a discussion but prior to nominations? Or is
well, no, we'll do the nominations, and then before we take any vote, we'll do the discussion.
Seems like we did this differently than we've done in the past couple of years.
No. Again, I seconded Vince's nomination of Crystal Miles as mayor and nominate Councilman Chad Zimmerman as mayor pro tem.
Are there any other nominations?
As I stated, I'd like the council to consider freezing things for the next year to allow the council members that have not served to take advantage of opportunities, because I believe it's it's strenuous in this effort with COVID, and I just think it's an opportunity, to freeze things for a period of time and give them the opportunity to take part and do things that I wasn't able to as mayor.
So we are open. I'll consider that a nomination. And if there are no other nominations, if I'm hearing, then I'll open up for discussion. Councilman Zimmerman, you had expressed an interest to speak.
I actually was hoping to have a discussion prior to nominations, just so we could kind of get some stuff out there before we got to that decision-making point. I guess at this point, nominations being what they are, I'm not looking to rock the boat. I think that we've done a great job of continuing traditions, and I know that there was a matter to keep unity and to preserve the lack of fighting amongst us, and I think we've done a great job with that. And so I think continuing that tradition is a strong move forward, and so I support the current moves.
Can I make a comment? May I speak?
Go ahead. Yes, sure. Go ahead.
So I want to thank Councilman Rossini and Councilman Collicott for the nomination and the second. And I just want to let the council and residents know that I am poised and ready to fulfill the duty of mayor for Phillip Park. And I have brought ideas in the past. I have many ideas going forward in the future. I'm still excited about a state of the city, how we can make government more transparent, maybe easier. I have new ideas that I'm excited to share with council, like fostering a deeper relationship with OUSD, maybe implementing some sort of message campaign, dealing with our youth and our residents who have been probably the victims of what we've had to experience this past year with depression, anxiety, alcoholism, the social and emotional effects of this isolation and the uncertain times. And I feel that, we as a council can address these issues. And I'd like to also have ideas about maybe education for our community on variance processes and, letting the city government be easier for the residents to navigate through. And I've got a lot of ideas, and I'm willing and I'm eager, and I'm super excited and looking forward. So.
Awesome.
So are there any other comments? Okay, with that, we'll start with the first nomination, which was for Mayor Pro Tem Miles as the mayor. I'll call your name and we'll work through in that order. Councilman Collicott.
Yes.
Councilman Rossini.
Yes.
Councilman Zimmerman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Miles.
Yes.
Mayor Pitts.
No.
Okay, so the way it'll work, that passes 4-1. So Mayor Pitts, Mayor-elect Miles will take over at this point, and she'll conduct the Mayor Pro Tem election.
Congratulations.
The meeting is yours.
Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you. Thank you. And I wanted to take a moment to say thank you to the council for electing me the mayor. And I'm honored, I'm humbled to represent the city. And I'm looking forward to working with everyone here, and including the city staff and residents of Villa Park. But I want to say thank you to Councilman Pitts for your leadership. And I know that you became mayor during a very difficult time, unprecedented time, and you navigated during this time with poise and professionalism. And I'm really looking forward to staying positive, and that this year will bring better changes. I'm hopeful. So with that, I would like to, I was going to nominate Councilman Zimmerman for Mayor Pro Tem, but Councilman Collicott beat me to it. So with that, Steve, can we conduct the
if there are any other nominations, I think you have to clear that there are no other nominations, just to make sure.
Oh, sorry. Are there any other nominations for Mayor Pro Tem? Sees that there are none.
And then we go ahead and make we call for the vote.
Can we please have the vote?
Sure. Councilman Pitts.
Yes.
Councilman Colacott,
Yes, and I think Chad will do a great job.
Councilman Rossini,
Yes.
Councilman Zimmerman,
Yes.
Mayor Miles.
Yes.
So it passes 5-0. So Mayor, congratulations to Mayor Miles and Councilman Zimmerman. And I will apologize in advance, as the former mayors can attest, it takes me a little bit of time without calling each other. I still referred to Mayor Nelson. One of them is Mayor Nelson for my second or third year here. So my apologies in advance, but congratulations, and we'll move on with the meeting.
If I may,
Congratulations.
could I take 1 second? Is that possible?
Yes.
Thank you. I also would like to say thank you. I appreciate it, Mayor Miles, and take a moment to also comment on what a fantastic job Mayor Pitts did this past year. It's interesting, in reflecting on this last year, I was thinking that, well, I don't know if I would call it lucky. I would say that I love challenges, and I think Mayor Pitts had a really challenging year and got to experience stuff that nobody else in that position has ever gotten to experience. He had a truly unique experience. He rose to that occasion and did a fantastic job. And I truly respect the work that he did. And I just want to say thank you for all his efforts there.
Thank you.
I concur.
Mayor? May I
Okay.
speak?
Yes, you may.
Yeah, I'd just like to encourage Crystal and Chad that you now have 3 past mayors to lean on, and don't hesitate to call either any of us or all of us for any ideas or guidance. So
Absolutely. Thank you. I definitely think Chad and I will benefit the most from that. Okay, now we'll move into our agendized public hearings. Our first hearing is to review to waive reading in full of all ordinances and resolutions on the agenda. I will now open the hearing. Staff, please give the staff report. You're
You're muted, Steve.
Muted.
Sorry. This is the regular monthly meeting we have to allow us to conduct efficient city council meetings. We waive the reading in full of all ordinances, resolutions, and meeting minutes, and we'd recommend approval.
Council members, do you have any questions?
Mm-mm.
Steve, is there anyone that wrote in from the public who'd like to comment?
No.
Thank you. Is there any discussion regarding this? Nope. Okay, I close the public hearing. Is there a motion on this matter?
So moved.
second.
Okay, please call the vote.
Councilman Colacott,
Yes.
Councilman Pitts,
Yes.
Councilman Rossini,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Zimmerman,
Yes.
Mayor Miles.
Yes.
Passes 5-0.
I think he's getting used to his new name.
Yeah.
True.
Okay, our next hearing, variance number 2020-03, 18462 Adams Ranch Road. I will now open the hearing. Staff, please give the staff report.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a variance request that is for 18462 Adams Ranch Road, Villa Park. This has a number of facets to it, and I will defer to our planning manager, Ray Pasqua, to go ahead and make a presentation to staff. At the end, both he and I will be available for comments or questions.
Thanks, Steve. Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, this variance application involves a vacant property that is 21,800 square feet in size, located at the east end of Adams Ranch Road in the E4 zoning district. The subject property is part of a 8-acre, 12-lot subdivision that was recorded back in 1972. It is a pie-shaped lot, has a steep topography along the rear portion that drops down to the Orange County Flood Control District property. The atypical condition of the property yields a shallow buildable envelope, which is further limited since it's close to half of the property is in a sloped area. As a result of these site characteristics that are unique to this property, the property owner is seeking relatively minor relief from the minimum building setback requirements. Specifically, this variance application is a request to deviate from the front, sides, and rear building setbacks for a proposed 5,894 square foot split level residence with an attached 4-car garage. Provided in the staff report is a matrix that outlines what the minimum building setbacks are, what are provided, area of encroachment, and what the deviations are, and I'll quickly go through them right now. The minimum front yard building setback is 30 feet, and the variance request is 29 feet 4 inches, which is a deviation of 8 inches. Area of encroachment is about 5 square feet, 5 square feet involving the entry to the proposed residence. The minimum front yard porch setback is 25 feet, and the variance request is 22 feet 10 inches, which is a deviation of 2 feet 2 inches. Area of encroachment is about 4 square feet for the covered porch. The minimum side yard building setback is 19 feet. And the variance request for the south property line, if you're looking at the property from the street, it's on the right side. And what's proposed is 13 feet, which is a deviation of 6 feet. Area of encroachment is about 50 square feet for the bathroom in the guest bedroom, and that's on the upper level. For the opposite side property line on the north end, the variance request is 18 feet 7 inches, which is a deviation of 5 inches. Area of encroachment is about 1 square feet for the walk-in closet for the master bedroom. And lastly, the minimum rear yard building setback is 25 feet, and the variance request is 20 feet 7.5 inches, which is a deviation of 4 feet 4.5 inches. The area of encroachment is about 98 square feet for the garage. Granting approval of this, the proposed deviation to the building setbacks are justified since the property does possess inherent physical constraints and challenges, including the irregular shape, difficult topography, and the limited building envelope. Approval of the variance request would not constitute the granting of a special privilege, and it would not result in a project that would negatively impact properties and improvements within the neighborhood. Based on these and other findings of fact contained in the resolution, city staff is recommending approval of variance number 2020-03 and to adopt resolution number 2020-3498. As briefly mentioned in the staff report, the property owner plans to construct a detached 1,000 square foot accessory dwelling unit, or ADU, as part of this project. This was for reference only and does not require city council action. As required by the zoning ordinance, public hearing notices were mailed out for this variance application to current property owners within 300 feet of the subject property 10 days prior to this meeting. A total of 19 public hearing notices were mailed out. Also, the site was posted with a public hearing notice and it was published in the Orange County Register. To date, city staff received 3 letters of support and 1 inquiry about this project. And that concludes my staff report. I'll be glad to answer any questions you have. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions by council?
Well, I have a comment. First of all, I'm very familiar with this property. I actually looked at it myself about 20 years ago to purchase it and build something similar, although not quite as big and beautiful as what this gentleman is proposing. I'd like to compliment the project proponent on the beauty of his project, although we don't have design standards. It appears that this is going to be a real positive addition to that neighborhood. The variances that are requested are very reasonable, and I'd like to see this project approved, or the requested variances approved.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions?
Mayor Miles.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Just for the record, I want to go on the record and state that the architect of record on this particular project is somebody that my family has conducted business with in the past, but no longer have any business or any agreements, and are unlikely in the future to conduct any business with. Be that as it may, I don't feel that there's any conflict or that my judgment in any way, shape, or form would predispose me to any sort of bias one direction or the other. As I mentioned to the architect, in Villa Park, variances are on a case-by-case basis. It's obviously beneficial to contact affected neighbors and to have staff support. But I too, having read the plans, having visited the site, having viewed the plans that were emailed by the architect directly to me, agree with Councilman Collicott. I think it's going to be an improvement for the neighborhood. It's going to be a good addition to the city, and a very good use of that particular lot. And even though I'm not a big fan of all of the number of variances, it frankly makes sense on this particular lot alone. I don't think we need to be in the habit of granting every single variance that comes through, and I don't believe this council has. But on this particular project, with that particular shape of lot and topography, it makes sense, and I support it.
Thank you. Any others? Okay, I'd like to comment. I went and visited the site, and the architect, Mr. Mazzalotti, met me out there. He was very kind, and I agree with both Councilman Collicott and Councilman Rossini that the topography and the slope and everything, the number of variances made me a little bit nervous as well. However, once I got there and saw it and realized in the support of the neighbors, I became much more comfortable with it. So I do think it's going to be a great addition. And I think, are they available to answer any questions? Should we have any? The owners?
Yes. Mayor, they're available should there be any questions. We didn't have them join the Zoom, but they are available should we want to contact them.
Okay, and I don't think any of us do. So is there anyone that wrote in?
Just the three. We received 3 letters of support and 1 inquiry, and that's it.
Okay. Any other discussion regarding this item? Nope. Then I will close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Also move.
Move approval.
Is there a
Second.
Second.
Okay. Steve, could you please call the roll?
Councilman Collicott,
Yes.
Councilman Pitts, Councilman Pitts. Oh, you're on mute, sir.
Yes. Yes, 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 yes.
Okay. Councilman Rossini,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Zimmerman,
Yes.
Mayor Miles.
Yes.
Passes 5-0.
Okay. Our final hearing is a resolution authorizing a fee increase for Orange County Sheriff Coroner Department for vehicle removal, impound, storage, or release of vehicles. I will now open the hearing. Staff, can you please give the staff report?
Thank you, Mayor. In April of 2000, the city of Villa Park, we adopted the resolution 2000-2493, which approved the Orange County Sheriff Traffic Violator Apprehension Program. Basically, in there is that program is designed to reduce vehicle accidents caused by unlicensed drivers, et cetera. And it's incorporated therein is a fee schedule that allows for removing of vehicles and impounds, et cetera. On November 17th of this year, the Orange County Board of Supervisors approved a proposed increase in the administrative fee for the Sheriff Coroner Department for the vehicle removal, impound, storage, or release of vehicles from $50 to $144 for vehicle removal pursuant to vehicle code violations, and from $152 down to $144 for vehicle removal due to driving without a license or with a suspended or revoked license. Because the sheriff conducts the program on our behalf, we need to subsequently adopt a resolution in support of these fees. The fees are collected by the tow yards when the vehicle is released. That cost then is subsequently passed directly to the sheriff and collected by the sheriff, and it is not collected by the city. So the city does not receive any revenue from it. If we intend to have the continued running of that program, the sheriff's asked that we adopt these vehicle release fees. We need to approve a resolution this evening, so staff would recommend approval of resolution, got it, 2020-3501.
3501 or 02?
I think it's 3502.
Okay. Council, do we have any questions? No questions. Steve, is there anyone that wrote in from the public that would like to comment? Any public comments?
No public comments.
Thank you. Council members, any discussion regarding this? No? Okay, I'll now close the public hearing. Is there a motion and a second?
Motion moved.
Second.
Thank you. Steve, would you please take the roll?
Councilman Colacott,
Yes.
Councilman Pitts,
Yes.
Councilman Rossini,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Zimmerman,
Yes.
Mayor Miles.
Yes.
Passes 5-0.
Thank you. Okay, now we will consider our consent calendar. All items on the consent calendar are considered routine and are usually enacted by one motion approving the recommended action listed on the agenda. Any member of the city council, staff, or the public may request an item be removed from the consent calendar for discussion or separate action. Council members, are there any items from items number 5 through 9 you would like to remove from the consent calendar? Nope. Okay. Steve, could you please?
We need a motion.
Sorry.
Move that we
Move
approve.
approval.
Second.
Perfect. Okay. Can you please call the roll?
Councilman Colacott,
Yes.
Councilman Pitts,
Yes.
Councilman Rossini,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Zimmerman,
Yes.
Mayor Miles.
Yes.
Passes 5-0.
Okay, thank you. Now moving on to new business. So our first item of new business is the 2021-2029 housing element update. Can you please give the staff report?
Thank you. Ray and I will sort of tag team this a little bit and answer questions. We had as you recall, we had a special meeting last Friday in which we we had our consultant, John Douglas, talk through the housing element. Basically, each city is required to adopt a housing element update, which would cover the period of 2021 through 2029 period, which is being referred to as the 6th housing element cycle. The current cycle is the 5th, and that will expire in 2021, October of 2021. The due date for this new element update is October 15th of 2021. The state legislature has delegated authority to the State Department of Housing and Community Development to review the housing elements and to issue opinions regarding them. So as we discussed last week, the city has a consultant and the city staff have prepared a housing element update that is consistent with the assignment of the RENA numbers for the city of Villa Park. As you recall, our RENA number went from 14 in our last cycle, in the 5th cycle, to 296 tentatively scheduled for this 6th cycle. That's a considerable increase for a well-developed city. So it is our intent to work through the existing laws relating to ADUs and to propose some enhancements. That discussion we had last week, we talked about the various elements relative to the ADUs, and subsequent to that, based on comments from the Councilman Colacott, we added 2 elements into that, which would be offer incentives to encourage conversion of guest houses to ADUs, as suggested by Councilman Colacott. And we also added in there the offer incentives to encourage applicants for room additions to include JADU or junior ADUs in the added areas. So we have included the 2 points that the council raised last Friday into the draft. Our discussion today, or our request today, is not that we approve the plan, but you basically authorize the city staff to submit the plan in draft form to the state HCD and allow them to provide us some comments. This HCD would have 6 days to review draft elements and provide us their comments. After HCD conducts their review, we are required by law to conduct a public hearing in the city to consider HCD's findings and adopt a final housing element prior to October 15th. So at this point, what we're requesting is the draft form to submit to HCD to get their comments and see. We've had a number of discussions with Councilman Pitts, myself, and the consultant with the state. And I believe that we've tried to incorporate their considerations into our draft, but the test comes when we actually submit the draft and see what they have to say. Then this item has received one comment from the Kennedy Commission. We received December 15th today in there, and I forwarded it to that. And for the record, there are 6 recommendations, which basically recommends that the city include public participation. It's our belief that we will conduct the public hearings as required, so that we will be satisfying and working through that as we move through the process. Again, the point of our request today is simply to allow the city staff to submit a draft form of our housing element update to the state for comments. So with that, both Ray and myself are available for conversations. And Ray, help me if I've missed anything.
I think you covered it all, Steve.
Thank you. Council, do we have any questions of staff? And then other than the ones that you mentioned, there's no one else that wrote in.
I did have a question.
Sorry. Go ahead.
The Kennedy Commission email that we got, are we crafting a response to them, or is there a?
They are notified. Yes, sir. They are listed on our list of public hearings, and they will be notified. That was one of the requests, that they be notified of all public hearings. So they knew of this one, obviously, because we did notify them, and we will subsequently respond accordingly with that. So we are every intent to comply in every bit with the public hearing requirements.
My instinct was to reply back right away, and then I thought, well, maybe let's find out if the city's doing that already.
We will take care of that thing. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions?
Some comments.
Yes, sir.
I want to thank staff for all the work that they've done on this. Obviously, our consultant, Councilman Pitts and Councilman Collicott. Councilman Collicott in particular has been raising alarm bells for a number of years about this issue and about Sacramento's candid overreach into local zoning control and trying to address a perceived crisis that frankly is not a crisis. There is, in some communities, an absence of affordable housing, but that is typically because they're a much larger city that are not fully built out. Our city is very unique. It is not the quintessential city, and to take the one-size-fits-all approach that they are using is ridiculous. Just a couple of facts I want to point out. California last year, according to the Sacramento Bee in an article, lost somewhere in the neighborhood of 691,000 people. 691,000 people left the state of California for a number of reasons: taxes, politics, employment, whatever, education. Only 501,000 people, according to the same article, came to the state of California. That is a net loss of 190,000 people. Now, if I'm looking at paying the kind of rates that are out there for rent, I understand. I understand that the market is it's expensive. I get that. But that's also because we've had 4 years of unprecedented economic success, both nationally as well as in the state of California. And people want to argue that, but just go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Go unemployment amongst minorities. Go to unemployment amongst women. Go to the gross domestic and gross national products. They kind of speak for themselves. So, but getting back to housing, I'm thankful for the work that staff has done and our consultant. I would like to really focus on trying to avoid ADUs as the one-stop shop to address this issue. I've given my comments in prior hearings on this matter. I appreciate the Kennedy Commission's look into this matter. I think that they're failing to understand that or failing to even recognize the fact that our city is 99% built out. And we're not going to kick a little old lady out of a house to build apartments. That's not what we do. That's not what this community is about. So please notify them. Please involve them in the discussion, but understand that we're a unique community, and I appreciate what they're trying to do and who they're trying to look out for. And I think that they're certainly needed in many cities within Orange County. But the issue that the state is trying to address does not fit our city, and 296 units is utterly ridiculous. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to comment?
Yes, I would. I think that this legislation that we're dealing with overlooks, again, it's a one-size-fits-all type of approach. What it quite clearly does is that triples the potential density of Villa Park. Now, currently, our assignment is for adding 300 new units. We currently have 2,000 lots in Villa Park. So we'd basically be, if we meet our quota of 296 units, we're going to be increasing our the number of units in Villa Park by 15%, that's significant, particularly in an established, stable community. I would like to raise another issue that I mentioned to the council a couple of meetings ago, and that the addition of all these accessory dwelling units will have impacts on our city. We can't stop accessory dwelling units. It's a state mandate right now. I don't see the legislature changing this mandate, but in meeting this mandate, there will be impacts on the city. We as a council need to start identifying what those impacts may be, and identifying how we can potentially mitigate or lessen the impact of these potential impacts. For example, the ADU ordinance requires us to provide one parking place for a senior ADU. Now, a senior ADU can be 1,200 square feet. That could be 2 or 3 bedrooms, and you can imagine how many cars may come associated with that. But they're only required, the ADU developer is only required to provide one off-street parking space. For junior accessory dwelling units, they're not required to provide, I don't think they're required to provide any parking, off-street parking. So all this parking is going to go onto our city streets. If you look around at some of the neighborhoods where there are, people are using their homes for boarding and, and so forth, you can see that parking congestion can develop quite quickly, and that's not what Villa Park's all about. The one nice thing about Villa Park is it always looks quiet, and part of that's attained by most people don't park on the street. You can go up and I look up and down my street, and there is one vehicle that parks overnight here on Feather Hill. Other streets are similar. We will lose that, and it will change the character of our community. That's just one potential impact, but we should, as a council, sit down, take input from the city residents, and identify what are the impacts and what can we legally do that will minimize that impact. That's all I have.
Thank you. Thank you both. You both bring up very relevant and scary discussions. So, and Councilman Rossini, those numbers, thank you for that on the people leaving and the ones, you know, coming. That's, you know, very interesting. And I don't think people realize we did have a you know, 100,000 net loss. So hopefully SCAG keeps that in mind when they hopefully address the RENA numbers again. Okay, if there's no other discussion, then can I have a motion to this resolution or this, what is it, housing element to get delivered to HCD?
So moved.
I'll second. Okay. Steve, can you please call roll?
Councilman Colacott,
Yes.
Councilman Fitz,
Yes.
Councilman Rossini,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Zimmerman,
Yes.
Mayor Miles.
Yes.
Passes 5-0.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. Item number 11, we will now discuss the city manager report. So, Steve?
Thank you, Mayor. There's a number of items normally I have in the package today. There's a public package, and in yours, you'll see a matrix. In there, particular questions I'm certainly available to answer. I would like to spend a little bit of time talking about the COVID situation and what's going on there. A couple things going on. One, you've heard quite a lot of discussion going on in Washington, D.C. about a potential another bailout package. That issue is come up over and over again. A lot of cities and municipalities and state governments have lost revenue, including, you know, Villa Park, we lost some revenue. Interestingly enough, the past legislation that we received for bailouts, the CARES Act, was very specific about how you could deal with it. In other words, you could only pay for items that were not budgeted. So personal protective equipment, overtime that you might spend, those kinds of things. Well, being a small city that contracts out, we didn't have a whole lot of that. In fact, we're not even going to be able to spend that full 52 because of restrictions, the full 52,000 that we received. We did do some modifications in City Hall, put in UV system in our air conditioning. We did some partitions and whatnot, but we aren't going to. So we'll have to literally return some of that money. However, we did lose 80, as you recall, about 80,000 of sales tax revenue. We cannot do anything to recoup that because the restrictions on that first tranche of funding in CARES Act. However, the new proposals they're talking about would allow flexibility. So if we did receive federal money, there is a possibility that we could restore or pay back the general fund for losses that we incurred previously. Secondly, the Board of Supervisors, again this afternoon or late this morning, approved spending of another 10 million of their general fund for business recovery, business subsidies or whatever. So it'd be $2 million for each supervisorial district. How that is handled, I'm not sure. In the past, Supervisor Wagner has allocated, and we did, as you recall, 2 different allocations of our business recovery grants that we gave out, 147,000, and then we received another 72,000 from the state money that we distributed. So there is that hanging out there. I would want to point out that the CARES Act, the original CARES Act, required us to spend the money by December 31st. So we are in a situation, like, again, we'll have to probably, because of the restrictions, have to deal with returning some, but there is a possibility that we could be receiving. Now, obviously, the good news is we haven't spent any of the money that we received that we have to return. So there is no loss or impact on the city. It's just that we don't get to fully utilize money that would otherwise have been allocated to us. With respect to the vaccines, there's been a lot of information out there. If you go to the county's website, you'll be able to see there's a number of items that they're handling and how they distribute it. They're consistent with the CDC about delivering it into tranches. So the first tranche of vaccines, 25,000 doses, has already been delivered to Orange County, and those are being distributed to frontline healthcare providers. Those people are working in hospitals, emergency rooms, and whatnot. That dose, that 25,000 dose, keep in mind that those require a second dose of 25,000 because those are 2 doses. That's the Pfizer vaccine that required 2 doses, approximately 2 weeks apart. So that 25,000 seems like a lot, but it will not cover all the healthcare workers in Orange County. And that's being handled directly through hospitals and medical providers. The second tranche would go to 1B, which would be the essential workers, and those would be the first responders, the police, fire, emergency paramedics, those types of people. Teachers are being included in there, I believe, and other essential workers, which are still being defined. I'm sorry, and 1A, the other element I forgot to mention, along with the healthcare providers, they're also using the first tranche to go to long-term residents of long-term care who are vulnerable populations. So those people who would be the most vulnerable will receive a possibility of getting the thing. Now, there are a number of dosages that have been ordered. When they all start coming in will probably be late December, early January. The health officer indicated earlier this week that he thought by mid to late January, all the initial first tranche, the healthcare providers and workers and long-term care teachers, et cetera, would be addressed in mid-January, by mid to late January. And then they would start working through the successive elements. And I don't know them off the top. The general public he indicated he probably thought March or April, optimistically, maybe a little later, early summer, but that's what he's looking at. The complication is there are a number of different vaccines. One requires 2 doses, one requires 1 dose, depending on the manufacturer. There's a lot of record keeping that has to be done, obviously, because somebody can't get the first dose of one vaccine and then go to the other vaccine. You've got to be consistent, and they've got to be approximately 2 weeks apart. They've got to watch for any side effects or those types of things. And then they have to record so that somebody doesn't get doses and vaccines from both kinds. So there's a whole process that has to go through. And as I understand it, there's anywhere from 7 to 10, maybe even more, potential vaccines that might be coming out. So this could get very complicated. It's being coordinated primarily through the hospitals, the medical providers, and pharmacies in Orange County. The health department is working through a lot of this, but the general public and the city of Villa Park and staff, we've already begun discussions with the county about when our general population will be available. We're hoping that there would be something along the lines of what we did with the flu vaccine, but given the way that it has to be administered, the current vaccines have to be kept at sub-zero temperatures. So it requires a certain, type of distribution process. So it remains to be seen what our exact role or how it will be, but the time frame is good in terms of there is potentially some light at the end of the tunnel, if you will. But we don't have a whole lot of specifics about when that'll be and how it'll be, but we'll share that immediately on our websites and all information as soon as we can. I wish we had more definitive, but the county doesn't have it. They've ordered these vaccines. They don't need to know if they'll actually get that number of dosages. So that's sort of the issue there. Our numbers continue to rise. There is concern that is going on, but if you go on the county's website, they have a whole page on COVID. You can track all the cases, et cetera, including the hospital capacity in the county. That being said, there's a lot going on with COVID. It's a very fluid discussion, and there's a lot of activity. We can answer questions as best we can, but again, a lot is dealt with at the state, county, and federal level. Another issue I would like to raise separate from that, you'll recall last year we approved an agreement with the North County cities to provide some homeless shelters. The North SPA, they call it, the North Service Provider Area. There were a number of cities, including ourselves, that provided for some funding that would be provided annually to the shelters that are run in Placentia and Buena Park. And we would be able to have any sort of potential homeless people here use those beds if needed. Well, the city of Buena Park was able to secure some CARES Act money and with the county and able to use it because of their had to spread out capacity and deal with some adjustments in having to deal with COVID patients. So they have $1 million worth, and they've asked that they've developed sort of a side agreement with the original agreement. And it does not affect us. It just simply clarifies the roles that the money is going there. that there's making the city of La Habra our treasurer. There's some requirements relative to auditing that the city of La Habra will assume for us and whatnot. So there's no additional requirements for us, but they've asked the city managers to sign off on that side agreement since there is no potential impact there is no impact on the city or our finances. It only continues the intent of the original agreement, which was to approve an agreement, and it was adopted by the council. I intend to go ahead and sign it, but I wanted to make sure that you were all aware that we're going to head and all of the other cities are doing that as well. So I'll be signing that and sending that off this week. So I just want to let you know that both the Placentia site and the Buena Park site are open, and they're taking in residents, I guess is the best way to say it. We're also working with Anaheim with regard to bridges at Kramer, and then there's also some facilities in Anaheim that are being used as well. So that being said, it just sort of clarifying the roles and trying to help make sure that we can deal with the problem in Villa Park as thing. But residents should continue to contact us if there's a problem, and we can certainly deal with it. We have the ability to deal with it. We signed a court agreement with the court to allow us to do that, North Service Spa. So again, if anyone has issues or concerns, they should please contact us and we can sort of address them and hopefully work through those. So I just wanted to give you, those are the two items that are sort of ramping up a little bit. And I wanted to make sure as we enter the cold season, there's some concerns of maybe some potential homeless and whatnot around. And also I want to advise everybody a little bit more on the COVID. As former Mayor Pitts has indicated, he and I have spent and bonded a great deal of time on weekly, I think, if not 5 to 10 hours a week at times. We've been on phone calls with other mayors, the county, other city managers, et cetera, regarding this. It is a very fluid, a lot of activity going on, a lot of coordination going on. And it is sort of been a real challenge. So I just personally would like to thank now Councilman Pitts for his time and his patience in dealing with it, because I think at times we've both been frustrated, lack of information and lack of coordination, but we make the best of it. I'm looking forward and hope that Mayor Miles, you'll have the same interest. I'm sure you will, and we can work through this and rely again on some of the relationships and some of the information that we received and hopefully move forward. Again, Councilman Pitts, your phone is still going to ring a lot, I think, if you don't mind. With that, I'm able to answer any questions and I will conclude with that.
Thank you. I have a question, or I don't know if you can answer this, Steve. What's the possibility of potentially maybe working with the county and being able to potentially maybe be a point of contact for a vaccine? Like, how possible would it be for us to be able to kind of do a vaccine clinic should it work out in the future for Villa Park?
Thank you, Mayor. We have already contacted the county with respect to that and expressed an interest, okay, as have every other city in Orange County. Candidly, they all want to do that. What that prevails and how it will work out will depend a little bit logistically. Unlike the flu shot, this first round requires that people receiving them have to stay there for 15 minutes to sit there to observe if there are any side effects. This first round has to be kept at sub-zero temperatures and things like that. So I'm not sure exactly how the administration will be. So we may not have the luxury of doing what we did with that, but the city's talked about even mobile clinics, in which case I would try and get one in the town center parking lot or do whatever I could to get one available. I certainly have expressed interest, and we're all sort of knocking on the door at once with the county, and they're trying to, it's sort of like, I think, drink water from a fire hose. And it's a challenge for them to try and get it all set up, but they're working through it. We'll know more and I'll keep you apprised, but I think you're thinking along our lines. So the city staff, we had the conversation today and we actually made contact with the county today.
Awesome.
Make sure you all do a lot of lobbying with your fellow counterparts around the state, the smaller cities, because the city of the gang of 13 will be the first in the door to get if they have their way about it, to get the to get the vaccine sent to them. So make sure you're lobbying with your counterparts in the smaller cities around the state to ensure that we get equal representation when it comes to the vaccine.
Thank you. Yes, and I've been on the Coalition of Mayor phone calls on Thursday nights as a silent participant since I think the end of September, beginning of October. So I know there's a lot of discussion about that. And you know, Steve, yes, as you know, my background is heavily science weighted, and I'm excited to move forward with hopefully, you know, getting us past this really difficult time. And Councilman Pitts, I'm you know, really looking forward to being able to bend your ear as well. So are there any other comments about this?
If I may.
Sure.
So I do know from Margaret that there are definitely special refrigeration units that are used for storing the vaccine at this point. And it may be that hospitals working with something like a Kaiser that's just across the riverbed, as it were, might be super beneficial for us to partner with them to see about getting time with that. It might not be within the city, but there are some avenues of pursuit that we can go after to see about making sure that we guarantee or work with getting vaccines for our residents.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think we're going to have to be a little bit aggressive to make sure we get on that list. Okay, if there's no other comments, there's no need for a vote. We can move on to the next item. Okay, so now we're in Mayor and Council Member Matters, item number 12. This is our first item of Mayor and Council Member Matters, is a resolution expressing support for actions to further strengthen local democracy, authority, and control as related to local zoning and housing issues. Or is there anyone, any comments from the council or any public comments for this item? Nope. Well, I'd like to make a comment. So I wanted to put this resolution on the agenda, and I asked Councilman Rossini to co-author it with me, support it with me, because I feel it is the city that is best suited to determine for ourselves the land use policies and practices that best suit us and suit our residents. And our needs. So I feel that the state is doing a one-size-fits-all approach to solve some of the housing mandates, and that they are not taking into account the needs and jurisdictions throughout various cities, including Villa Park. So that was my reasoning for putting this on, and I want to say thank you to Councilman Rossini for agreeing to author it with me. So if there's no discussion.
I'd like to I was the lead on the 2016 housing element update. And from that time, everything that you've described, I completely support. Yes, the city is best suited to determine what, how we want our community to be developed and what our, to identify what our needs are. The one size fits all is, as we've seen, has not worked. In 2016, even though the requirements at that time were much less onerous than they are currently, we still had to turn ourselves into a pretzel to find a way to comply at that time. In fact, it took us a few years to come to the point where we could submit something that would meet the those requirements. We need to get to a point where our cities are being cities again, and determining what's best for our community, what our residents really want. So anyway, I support the and I appreciate the fact that you and Vince brought this onto the agenda.
Thank you. Any other further discussion?
Make a comment.
Go ahead, Chad.
Oh, thanks. So I just wanted to say that while I appreciate that the state has taken some leadership on some very big issues, and they are looking to address problems at a very grand scale, I think that that's needed in some times, and it's super important for us to have that guidance, we wouldn't be maybe talking about some of the issues as much as we are right now without the push. However, I really like your proposal here, and I believe that the cities do need to maintain control of these elements and need to make the decisions at the final level. So thanks for this proposal.
Excellent, thank you. Councilman Pitts, did you have something you want to say?
No, I'm good.
Okay, is there a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Second.
Okay, Steve, can you call the roll, please?
Councilman Colacott,
Yes.
Councilman Pitts,
Yes.
Councilman Rossini,
Yeah.
Mayor Pro Tem Zimmerman,
Yes.
Mayor Miles.
Yes.
Passes 5-0.
Thank you. Okay. Final item, the mayor and council member matters. It is now time for us to hear individual council member information items. And let's start with Councilman Pitts.
The usual, working on the committees and also we didn't have any meetings in person, but the mayoral meetings that ended. There's one Thursday night, Mayor. There's also one Friday midday that you'll need to attend. There's also the county CEO meeting on Friday mornings at 9. I'm assuming you're up to speed on that and know about that meeting. So there's a lot of COVID meetings going on that take us away. But again, the only advice I have is make sure that we use those venues to combat the 13 getting all the attention from the governor and even their federal assets. So, but again, it was a great year. You know, I know there was a lot of challenge with COVID. I'm so honored that I had the opportunity to serve this city. It was a challenge making sure that we, you know, satisfied all needs of the city and heard everyone's voices in terms of, you know, the whole COVID approach and so forth. And I just hope that we did the best job possible with trying to appease everyone and make sure that we kept everyone safe at the same time. So I look forward to this coming year and hope that with the vaccine and everything else, that we're in a much better place this time next year than we are right now. So thank you.
So me too. Amen. Thank you. Councilman Rossini?
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank, first of all, Councilman Pitts. During his term as mayor, he faced truly unprecedented challenges and, frankly, a whole new way of doing business, something that none of us could even have dreamt of. And he did it admirably. He did it with grace. He did it with skill. He listened to others, and he had an open mind. As he mentioned in prior statements, he allowed for adults to make adult choices. And I think that's an important thing that's being missed, certainly by some folks on the national level and certainly some folks on the state level. And I want to commend him for that. I want to commend his lovely wife for being a gracious host and a wonderful kind of sort of first lady of Villa Park. She did a fantastic job, and she's a very sweet lady, and I appreciate her commitment to this city. So thank you, Elizabeth. Next, I want to, in my prior comments, I've thanked first responders. I've thanked our medical professionals. I've thanked our teachers and our school administrators, our residents, our business owners. But I want to give a couple of words of thanks to some of our elected officials out there and some of the appointed staff members. First of all, the county CEO, Frank Kim, personally has done a fantastic job, in my opinion, for a number of us with very specific situations and needs. He's been a consummate professional. He's been a great friend to a number of city managers and political officials, and he's frankly done the right thing. He's a great guy, and I want to commend him for that. And I pray that, Steve, you get these comments back to him. Next, I want to thank our district attorney, Todd Spitzer, for having the backbone to stand up for what's right, as well as Sheriff Don Barnes. and not comply with this release of 1,400 prisoners out into our community, where the risk of COVID-19 is arguably worse than in the jails. I am not getting tested by anybody. I have to go get tested. Nobody is providing me with round-the-clock medical care or supervision. I'm often puzzled by, and I grant you, the jail is not a nice place to be, but you earn your way there. And I'm glad that the sheriff and the DA are standing up for what's right. I know that the judge in this particular case is a knowledgeable and very well qualified jurist. I just frankly disagree with his opinion on it, and I don't think the science backs up what he's talking about. With all respect, so I want to thank those two political officials, and of course Mr. Kim, and our own Board of Supervisor Don Wagner for really helping us out throughout all of this. It's been a challenging year. It's been a rewarding year for some of us from a learning in a way of learning how to do new things in a different way. And I'm thankful for all of your efforts and all of your volunteerism and your counsel and your leadership. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Colacott?
Yes. In my motion to approve the housing element update, which is, I think, the big item that we had to discuss tonight, I neglected to point out to ask staff if they could update figure 4-35, which identifies potential housing sites in Villa Park. There are a number of, or a few of these sites that are already under development. For example, the Felix property and even the property that we just gave the variance to this evening. They may not actually be under construction, but they're well along in the planning approval process. So perhaps we could update that map to reflect that we have even fewer sites than is reflected in the current draft. And I think also in the elsewhere in the report, it mentions that we have 18 vacant developable lots in Villa Park, and I've heard from the previously from staff that we only have 11. So if we could resolve that. I'd like to make a comment to the homeowners in the community, and that is that Villa Park is an exceptionally development-friendly community. If people want to develop their property or improve their property, you can't find a better place to do business than here in Villa Park. I believe our staff's objective for issuing building permits is a 30-day turnaround time. That's unheard of. We are very supportive. And also, we do have this mandate now to develop 300 additional dwelling units. And if you're a homeowner, look at the accessory dwelling unit ordinance that the city has. There's some real opportunities there for those of you who wish to develop an accessory dwelling unit as a rental, and that will help the city meet its housing goals or mandates. So anyway, those are my comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Zimmerman.
Thank you. A couple things I wanted to talk briefly about. One was the Saniteur, which was fantastic. I wanted to say a couple of things. One is that I know that there were some comments that we got back about setting the right example and the right tone. And I really believe it's hard to get how much thought and careful consideration went into making this a safe Saniteur. And that sometimes you just see a picture or you see a quick post on it. You don't really get all of the depth of what went into it. And it really was well executed. I think that the example we set is that you could do something very safe, and that you could do something that wasn't a super spreader event. Much like, interestingly, I did a bunch of research about protests, mainly BLM protests, and somewhere you have these parades or these organized marches that are done very safely, and we followed many of the guiding principles of that in this Saniteur. But it also as soon as we pulled out of City Hall and you had the siren going and you had Santa, it was Christmas. I mean, the feeling of the holiday spirit was with us, and going around to bring that to the whole city, super important and really very well done. So I just wanted to commend the Community Services Foundation and everybody on the council for their role in that, city staff, Mike Knowles, everybody for a great job done. I also wanted to express how excited I am about Mayor Miles and her coming year. I think she's going to do a fantastic job as mayor. And one of the things that when Crystal and I were elected, came into this council to bring this feeling of unity to fight off some of the combative nature that we'd had before. So one of the things that we really worked and been working on is consistency, trying to make sure that over time we have this cohesive unit and that we all work very well together. And I think we've achieved that. I think this council does some great things. I think that maintaining the tradition of mayor pro tem to mayor follows that consistency. I think we do that ourselves a good service in maintaining that tradition, and also letting everybody know that we still serve the entire city of Villa Park. If you are a supporter of Vince, a supporter of Bob, a supporter of Robert, a supporter of Crystal, of mine, we're all part of the same team here. I mean, we work really well as a council, and we're all here for you. So I'm wishing everybody a happy holidays and hope that everybody stays safe, and we close out 2020 as well as we can.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Zimmerman. Gosh, I want to echo all of your comments, a little bit here, a little bit there. I agree, Mayor Pro Tem Zimmerman, that the past 2 years, this council, the cohesiveness and the willingness to work with each other, we haven't always agreed, which I think is healthy and okay and normal. And I know the residents obviously were happy with how we were doing, because our two councilmen ran unopposed, so that's always a good sign. And I think the next 2 years are going to be just as equally blessed, and we're going to be doing good things, really good things. I want to say also with the senator, I know how much work Forrest put into it, and I want to appreciate him, say thank you, and to the whole entire foundation. I know we had Mrs. Franks, Dee Dee Franks, who took amazing pictures, and say thank you to her. Mrs. Pitts, who did an amazing lunch and still loved that pasta at their home, opened up their home for the sheriff and all of us to have a bite to eat in between. Our two Santas, of course, our Santa, a thank you to them, and the Fastenellis for improvising and coming up with a quick solution to making sure that Santa was appropriately carted throughout the city. Let's see what else. Gosh, I'm probably forgetting some people, but a great event that went off and a little different. And I think it shows how we can adapt and we can improvise and we can overcome anything that's going to come our way. And I think that should be our theme for this next year is, improvise, adapt, and overcome. And again, I want to thank Robbie for your leadership this past year. And I'm super honored to join the ranks of all the prior citizens before us and our 3 fellow councilmen that have been mayor. And, I hope everyone has a happy new year. I'm really looking forward to putting 2020 behind us, and hope everyone is healthy. And that's all I have to say about that. So again, thank you for the confidence, and I'm looking forward to a bright 2021. So with that, I want to thank you all for your reports, and we will now adjourn until the next regular city council meeting on January 26th, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. And thank you all for participating, and I hope you all have a safe and good evening. That's it.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
God bless
Good
you
night.
all.
Good night.
Safe.